Amara stood by the dining table, her hands shaking as she cleared the plates. The smell of burnt stew still hung in the air. David's face was red with anger. "You're lazy, Amara," he shouted. "You can't even make dinner on time. What do you do all day?" Before she could speak, he picked up a plate and threw it against the wall. It shattered, pieces flying across the floor. Their little daughter, Chioma, jumped in fear, holding her doll tightly. David pointed at Amara. "You're just a maid in this house," he said coldly. For a moment, everything went silent. The only sound was the ticking clock on the wall. Amara didn't cry. She didn't shout back. She just stood there, frozen, staring at him as the words replayed in her mind. "You're just a maid in this house." Something inside her felt like it cracked open. Not loudly, not suddenly, but quietly, deeply. She turned away, picked up the broken pieces from the floor, and threw them in the bin. David walked off to the bedroom, muttering under his breath, not even looking at her. Amara tucked Chioma into bed later that night. "Are you okay, Mama?" Chioma asked softly. Amara smiled weakly and nodded, brushing her daughter's hair. "I'm okay, my love," she whispered. But she wasn't. When the house grew silent and dark, Amara sat alone in the living room. The broken plate was gone, but the words still hung heavy in the air. She looked around the room. The curtains she had chosen, the furniture she had polished, the meals she had cooked. Everything reminded her of how much she had given, and how little she had left for herself. She realized how small her world had become. Once she had dreams, big dreams of working, traveling, becoming someone her younger self would be proud of. Now her days were measured by meals, chores, and silence. Tears filled her eyes, but she wiped them away quickly. She didn't want to cry anymore. She just sat there, feeling something shift inside her, something she couldn't name yet. As the night grew colder, she whispered to herself, "Maybe he's right. Maybe I've become invisible." But deep down another voice answered quietly, "No, you're still here." She stayed awake until the first light of morning touched the curtains. Her heart felt tired but strangely steady. By morning, something inside her had changed. Flashbacks take us to a younger Amara, full of life, confidence, and dreams. She used to work at a bank, always dressed neatly in her crisp shirts and bright smile. Her co-workers admired her energy. She loved her job, she loved helping people, and most of all, she loved the feeling of independence. During lunch breaks, she would sit by the window and talk with her friend about the places she wanted to travel. Paris, Dubai, Cape Town. She often said, "One day, I'll see the world." Her life was busy, but it was hers. She had plans, savings, and dreams that felt close enough to touch. Then David came into her life. He was charming, gentle, and made her laugh. He used to bring her flowers and tell her she was the most beautiful woman he had ever met. With him, life seemed safe, steady, and full of promise. Everyone said she was lucky. A good man, a good marriage ahead. When they married, she believed she was walking into happiness. The first few months were sweet. David used to call her during lunch hours just to say he missed her. They would cook together, watch movies, and talk late into the night about their future. Amara thought she had found her forever home. But slowly things began to change. It started with small things. David would complain that her job kept her too busy. "You don't even have time to take care of me properly," he'd say with a laugh that didn't sound like a joke. Then he told her there was no need for her to work, that he could handle the finances. "Stay home, Amara. Be my wife, not my colleague," he said. At first it felt like love. She thought, he wants me close. But after she quit her job, something in her began to fade. David started to control everything. How money was spent, when she could go out, even who she talked to. He didn't want her seeing old friends. "They'll put ideas in your head," he said. Soon, her world shrank to the size of their house. Days turned into a quiet routine. Wake up early, make breakfast, clean, cook lunch, pick Chioma from school, cook dinner, then wait for David. Most days he came home tired and silent, scrolling through his phone instead of talking. Sometimes he didn't even notice the new dishes she cooked. Other times he complained. Too salty or too late. Amara stopped trying to explain or defend herself. Her voice grew smaller with each passing day. One afternoon, while hanging clothes outside, she spoke to Mama Tinu, the elderly woman who lived next door. Mama Tinu had kind eyes and always seemed to notice when something was wrong. "You look tired, my daughter," Mama Tinu said gently. Amara smiled weakly. I'm fine, Mama. Just housework. But Mama Tinu wasn't fooled. She shook her head slowly. You used to walk with your head high. Now you walk like someone carrying a secret. Amara looked down, trying to hide her tears. Marriage is harder than I thought. Mama Tinu placed a hand on her shoulder. Marriage should not make you smaller, my dear. If you keep shrinking, one day you'll disappear completely. Those words stayed with Amara long after she went inside. That night, while washing dishes, she caught her reflection in the kitchen window. She hardly recognized the woman staring back. Tired eyes, quiet lips, shoulders that used to stand tall now bent slightly forward. She remembered the woman she used to be, laughing with friends, wearing bright colors, feeling proud after helping a customer at the bank. She remembered how alive she felt when she talked about her dreams. Now she barely talked at all. When Chioma asked her one evening, Mama, what did you want to be when you were my age? Amara smiled sadly and said, I wanted to be brave. Chioma laughed, not understanding the weight of those words. But Amara did. She felt it in her chest, the ache of everything she had lost. At night, she often lay awake next to David, staring at the ceiling, wondering how she became so small in her own story. She wanted to leave, to start over, but fear always whispered louder. Fear of being alone, of failing, of not surviving without him. Still, somewhere deep inside her, a small spark of strength refused to die. She didn't know it yet, but that tiny spark would one day set her free. Last night was perfect. She'll never know. Amara stared at the message glowing on David's phone. Her hands trembled as she read it again, hoping her eyes were lying. But there it was, a message from someone named Evelyn. Her heart began to race, and her breath came in short, painful gasps. She felt the room spin around her. The same phone she often used to send him love messages was now filled with someone else's words. Warm, secret, cruel. Amara sat still for a moment, her fingers frozen on the screen. She could hear Chioma humming softly in the next room, completely unaware. A wave of cold spread through Amara's body. She placed the phone back exactly where it was and walked to the window. Her legs felt weak. When David came out of the shower, whistling and smiling as if the world was fine, Amara turned to him quietly. Her voice was calm, too calm. Who is Evelyn? She asked. David stopped, towel around his neck. His smile faded. For a few seconds, they stared at each other in silence. Then he shrugged and said, Why are you going through my phone? I saw the message, she whispered. She said last night was perfect. Instead of fear or shame, David laughed. A short, bitter laugh that made her skin crawl. Amara, please, don't make a big deal out of nothing. You can't even take care of this house properly, and now you're acting like you're some kind of queen. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came out. He moved closer, his face hard now. You're lucky I even stayed this long. What man would want a woman who does nothing but complain and cook late dinners? His words cut deeper than the message. Each one hit her like a blow. Then he put on his shirt, grabbed his car keys and said carelessly, I'm late for work. Don't start your drama. The door slammed, and silence filled the house. Amara stood there numb. Then slowly, she sank to the floor. Her hands shook as she covered her face. Tears came, not wild sobs, just silent tears that refused to stop. She tried to breathe, but the pain in her chest was too heavy. For a long time, she sat on the floor, surrounded by the sound of her own heartbeat. Every word he said replayed in her mind. Lazy, useless. No man would want you. But this time, something inside her didn't break. It woke up. It wasn't rage. It wasn't hate. It was something clearer. A small, sharp truth she had ignored for too long. He didn't see her value. He never did. She wiped her tears, stood up slowly and looked around the house. His house, he always said. Every wall, every chair, every memory suddenly felt like a prison. Amara walked to her room, opened the wardrobe, and took out a small box where she kept old things. Her bank ID card, her certificates, a few letters from her younger self. She ran her fingers over them and whispered, You're still here, Amara. You're still here. That night she couldn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, feeling a strange calm she hadn't felt in years. Her heart still hurt, but her mind was awake, alive. She reached for her phone, opened the job search app she hadn't touched in years, and started scrolling. It felt strange, almost wrong, but freeing. Then she placed her phone under her pillow, close to her heart, as if hiding a secret from the world. When she finally closed her eyes, she wasn't thinking about David anymore. She was thinking about herself, about the woman she used to be, and the woman she could still become. By morning, something had changed forever. Over the next few days, Amara begins to change quietly. She moves slower, speaks less, and watches everything more carefully. On the outside, nothing seems different. She still cooks, cleans, and takes care of Chioma. But inside, a storm is building. Each morning, after David leaves for work, Amara sits by the window with her old laptop. She opens job websites and begins to apply. 1, 2, 3 jobs. Her hands shake as she types, but she keeps going. She finds her old certificates, wipes off the dust, and places them in a folder. At the bank, she reopens her old account. The teller looks at her ID and smiles. "It's been a while, Mrs. Amara," he says kindly. She nods, her voice soft. "Yes, it has." But inside, she feels something warm, like life returning to her veins. She starts to pack small things. Not enough to draw attention, just a few clothes, a few of Chioma's toys, important papers. She hides them in an old travel bag under the bed. Every night, before sleeping, she checks that bag, her heart racing each time. Chioma notices her mother's new calmness. One evening, while doing homework, she says, "Mama, you look happy." Amara smiles gently. "Maybe I'm just remembering who I am," she replies. But David notices too. He feels her slipping away, though he doesn't understand how. He starts coming home earlier, watching her closely. His tone grows harsher, his eyes colder. One night at dinner, he throws his fork on the table. "What's wrong with you these days? You walk around like you're too good for this house." Amara keeps eating quietly, her face calm. He slams his hand on the table. "I'm talking to you." She looks up, her voice low but steady. "I heard you." That only makes him angrier. "Don't forget, this is my house," he spits. For the first time, Amara doesn't lower her head. She looks straight at him and says softly, almost like a whisper, "Not for long." David frowns. "What did you say?" "Nothing," she answers, standing up to clear the table. Her voice is calm, but her hands are steady now. For the first time in years, she's not afraid. That night, after Chioma falls asleep, Amara walks next door to Mama Tinu's house. The old woman welcomes her in with warm tea, sensing the heaviness in her eyes. "I found out about David," Amara says quietly. Mama Tinu nods slowly, as if she already knew. "So, what will you do now, my child?" "I'm leaving," Amara replies. Her voice shakes, but her words are strong. "I've been living like a shadow. I want my daughter to see her mother as someone strong, not broken." Mama Tinu reaches for her hand. "Do you have a plan?" Amara nods. "I reopened my bank account. I applied for jobs. I'll move out tomorrow morning, before he comes back from work. I just need a place to stay for a few days." Mama Tinu smiles proudly. "You can stay in my brother's empty flat for now. It's small, but it's safe. I'll help you pack early in the morning." Tears fill Amara's eyes. "Thank you, Mama. I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'll do just fine," Mama Tinu says gently. "You're stronger than you think." Back home, Amara stands by Chioma's bed, watching her sleep. She strokes her daughter's hair softly. "We're going to be okay," she whispers. "Mama's got you." She lies awake for hours, her mind full of memories. Her wedding day, her first job, the nights she cried silently. She feels grief for the years she lost, for the woman she became, but also strength for the woman she's becoming again. The next morning, Amara wakes up before sunrise. She moves quietly through the house, packing the last few things into the travel bag. She takes her documents, some money, and Chioma's school books. The sound of birds fills the morning air. As she zips the bag shut, she feels her hands shaking, not from fear, but from relief. She looks around the house one last time. The walls that once held laughter, the floor she cleaned every day, the kitchen where she cried in silence. Then she takes a deep breath and whispers, "Goodbye." Mama Tinu is waiting at the gate with a taxi driver. Together, they load the bags. Chioma rubs her sleepy eyes, confused. "Where are we going, Mama?" Amara smiles softly. "Somewhere new, my love. Somewhere peaceful." As the taxi drives away, Amara looks through the window at the house fading behind her. She feels pain, but also power. She doesn't know what the future holds, but for the first time in years, it belongs to her. Her heart is heavy, but her spirit is steady. The silent exit has begun. The next morning, David leaves early for work as usual. He doesn't notice the quiet smile on Amara's face, or the calm in her voice when she says goodbye. He thinks everything is the same, that she is still the silent woman he can control. But today is different. As soon as his car disappears down the road, Amara locks the gate behind him. Her heart beats fast, but her hands move with purpose. She takes out a small envelope of money, pays the locksmith who's waiting outside, and watches as he changes every single lock in the house. The front door, the gate, even the back entrance. When the locksmith finishes, Amara thanks him and locks the new door with a deep breath. From now on, she whispers, only my key opens this house. She goes to David's room, the room that once felt like a cage, and begins to pack his things. One by one, she folds his shirts, his suits, his shoes, and places them neatly into boxes. The sound of tape sealing the boxes feels like music to her ears. By afternoon, the house feels lighter. The air feels different, free, peaceful, hers. Mama Tinu helps her carry the boxes outside and stack them neatly by the gate. Are you sure about this, my dear? She asks softly. Amara nods. I've never been more sure in my life. Chioma stands beside her mother, holding her hand, watching quietly. She doesn't understand everything, but she feels her mother's strength. As the sun begins to set, the sound of a car engine roars from a distance. David's car. Amara doesn't move. She stands by the window, calm, waiting. The car stops. The gate rattles. Amara, open this gate right now. David's voice is loud, angry, echoing through the street. He bangs on the metal gate, harder and harder. Are you mad? Why is this gate locked? Open it before I break it down. Amara walks slowly to the window and opens it slightly. Her face is calm, her voice steady. This maid just fired you from her house, she says. David freezes. For a second, he thinks he heard wrong. What did you just say? You heard me. Amara replies quietly. You said I was a maid in this house, so I decided to let you go. You don't live here anymore. David's face turns red with shock and rage. You've lost your mind. This is my house. Amara shakes her head gently. Not anymore. The rent, the bills, all in my name now. You were too busy with Evelyn to notice. David's eyes widen. You can't do this to me. I already did, she says simply. He starts shouting louder, threatening her. I'll call the police. I'll have you thrown out. By now, neighbors begin to gather. Mama Tinu, a few women from the street, even the shopkeeper across the road. They stand watching, whispering, their eyes on the man who used to boast loudly about being the head of his home. Mama Tinu crosses her arms. Call the police if you want, David, she says firmly. We all heard how you treated her. Maybe it's time the police here too. David looks around, realizing everyone is watching. His voice falters. You all don't understand, she's my wife. No. Amara interrupts. I stopped being your wife the day you called me useless. Her voice is calm, but powerful. Every word lands like a strike. David tries to push the gate, but it doesn't move. His pride cracks. He sees the boxes with his name written on them. His clothes, his shoes, everything that once made him feel powerful now sitting outside like trash. He looks at Amara, standing in the window, strong and unafraid. The woman he once broke with words now stands above him, free from his control. For the first time, David doesn't know what to say. His voice lowers, his anger turning into confusion. Amara, please let me in. We can talk. Amara shakes her head slowly. There's nothing left to say. The street is quiet now. Everyone can feel the change in the air, the shift of power, the end of something cruel. David picks up one of the boxes and stumbles toward his car. His shoulders slump, his pride gone. He doesn't look back. Amara closes the window gently and turns to Chioma, who has been watching silently. Are we safe now, Mama? The little girl asks. Amara bends down, holding her close. Yes, my love, she whispers. We're safe now. As the car drives away and disappears into the night, Amara stands by the door, breathing deeply. The same walls that once trapped her now feel like freedom. She walks back inside, lights a candle, and sits down with Chioma and Mama Tinu. The quiet feels different, not empty but peaceful. David had power over her for years, but in that single moment, standing behind the locked gate, he learned what true strength looked like. And for the first time, Amara felt what freedom truly meant. Amara and Chioma move into a small apartment at the edge of the city. It's not fancy, and the paint on the walls is slightly faded, but it feels warm, peaceful. For the first time in years, Amara wakes up without fear. The silence here is gentle, not heavy. The first few days are hard. She doesn't have much money, and there are moments when doubt creeps in. But every morning, when she sees Chioma smiling and humming while brushing her hair, Amara feels strength returning. She finds a job at a small community bank. It's not as big as the one she once worked in, but she's grateful. The first day she walks in, wearing her neatly ironed blouse and holding her documents, her heart beats fast, half from excitement, half from fear. But the manager smiles and says, "We've been waiting for someone like you." Her new co-workers treat her with kindness and respect. They listen when she speaks, laugh at her jokes, and admire how calmly she handles customers. Every time she signs her name on a paper, she feels a little piece of her old self come back. In the evenings, she and Chioma cook together. The kitchen is small, but full of laughter. They dance to music from the radio while stirring the soup, and Chioma giggles. "Mama, you're funny now." Amara smiles. "Maybe I just forgot how to laugh for a while," she says. Little by little, her life begins to grow again. She buys second-hand furniture, decorates their tiny living room with flowers, and even starts saving money each week. It's not a lot, but it's hers, earned by her own hands. Sometimes, when she's alone at night, her phone lights up. Messages from David. "Amara, please, I'm sorry. Let's talk. Chioma misses me." She reads them quietly but never replies. She's done explaining her worth to someone who never saw it. Instead, she opens her journal and writes, "I was never just a maid. I was the foundation he stood on." She closes the book and exhales deeply, as if letting go of the last piece of pain. One weekend, Chioma brings home a drawing from school, a picture of a woman standing tall under the sun. "That's you, Mama," Chioma says proudly. "You're brave." Amara's eyes fill with tears. "Thank you, my love," she whispers, hugging her daughter tight. She feels something she hasn't felt in years, peace. Real peace. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone else. Every morning, she wakes up, makes breakfast, and walks to work with her head held high. Neighbors greet her kindly, and she greets them back with a smile that reaches her eyes. The woman who once felt invisible now shines quietly, steady and confident. Life is still simple, but it's hers, every meal, every laugh, every quiet evening. She doesn't need luxury or praise. She just needs this: freedom, dignity, and love. As the sun sets outside her window one evening, she stands by the curtain and whispers, "I'm becoming Amara again." And this time she knows she'll never lose herself again. A few months later, Amara visits her old house, the place she once called home. A big "for sale" sign stands in front of the gate. The garden is overgrown, the paint on the walls is peeling, and the windows look empty. She stands there for a moment, holding an old key in her hand. It's the same key she once used to open this door every day. The door to years of silence, pain, and lost dreams. Chioma stands beside her, now taller, her school bag hanging from her shoulder. "Mama, is this where we used to live?" she asks softly. Amara nods. "Yes, my love, but it's not our home anymore." She looks at the key one last time. It feels cold and heavy in her palm, a small piece of her past that no longer belongs to her. She closes her eyes, takes a deep breath, and lets it fall to the ground. The sound is soft but powerful. Chioma tilts her head. "Why did you drop it, Mama?" Amara smiles gently, her eyes bright. "Because we don't need that key anymore. We have new doors to open." She takes Chioma's hand, and together they start walking away from the house. The sun is setting, painting the sky gold and orange. The air feels warm, alive, free. As they walk, Amara's voice echoes softly, strong, calm, full of peace. "The day he called me a maid, he freed me. I just needed to find the door." Chioma swings her mother's hand playfully, laughing, and Amara laughs too. A deep, free laugh that fills the air. She doesn't look back. She doesn't need to. The camera lingers on her face, confident, serene, reborn. Fade out. Hi, besties. Sparkling Heart, thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this story, Don't forget to like, drop a sweet comment, and hit that subscribe button for more emotional stories. See you in the next one. Bye. Cherry Blossom Sparkles.